Well, hey, and welcome to the Becoming Better podcast. Today, myself, Josh, David, and Ken chat through this past Sunday's message. We talk about a legacy of faith. We get to share some backstory on the video that we all watched, and we just get to talk about what it looks like to be a parent, trying to figure this out and raise a family who knows and loves and follows Jesus. And so, like always, if you have yet to listen to this past week's Sunday, go ahead and push pause here. I do think it makes a little bit more sense for you to listen to the sermon. That way you can engage in this conversation a little bit better. You can do that simply by just looking up in the Quad City podcast, the kind of home. Our sermon is linked right there, and you can jump back into the Becoming Better podcast. As always, thanks for sending in questions and comments. You can always do that by jumping on our website, quadcity.church. You can also text it in as well. You can find that in the bottom of the bulletin that we pass out every Sunday morning. Those questions help us engage and help us make sense of what we talked about. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Without further ado, let's jump in. Well, hey guys.
Do you want to say it or should I say it?
Oh, happy Monday.
There it is.
He'll be back soon. He'll say it soon.
Happy Monday, everybody.
So, well, hey, today we've got Kenny with us because obviously Kenny preached this past Sunday, and then David has been kind of a regular voice this summer on our podcast. So listeners probably are like, oh yes, David's back. So
what up, y'all?
But we don't hear Nate.
Yeah, no Nate today. Nate is out on vacay this week and enjoying the time with his bride, and so hopefully he's well rested. So good to be back. I've been out, I know, the last couple of weeks, so good to be back hanging out with you all.
It's nice to hear you use the term bride. I do that all the time, and people are like, I've been married 40 years. She's still your bride. Like,
I only did it because you were here.
Oh, okay.
I would have said her name, but I did it for you, Kenny.
There's the influence.
It
right
is.
there.
I did it for Kenny.
I mean, Nate said the same thing last week with Tim on the. He said,
"Oh yeah,
tell us about your bride,
Timmy." So we don't need any introductions. I know most of our listeners probably know who Kenny is. So
Ken's rubbing off on all of us linguistically, as it were.
Yes. Okay, so David, you have a banter question.
So I have something I want to put in front of the live studio audience. So this past week, my second youngest, Amelia, my 10-year-old, and I watched the entirety of the extended edition of The Lord of the Rings.
How long did that take?
So over the course of a week, right? It's about 14 hours.
Holy cow!
13 hours, give or take, something like that. And so here's the lean in, right? Her and I like to watch TV shows and movies together. She's the only one of my kids that knows how to sit still. So we like to engage in storytelling and stuff and enjoy that a lot. But it got me thinking about how common, like when I was a kid, how common it was that there were shows and movies that I just watched all the time with my family. Like when I was in middle school, my grandmother, my Nana, and I used to watch Quantum Leap together every day after school. Like that.
Scott Bakula.
And so the question was, what are some like maybe similar from like when you were growing up? It didn't have to be a TV show, and it didn't even have to be a good memory. It could be just like a ridiculous of like times where you sat down with somebody in your family and just had a regular, hey, this is a thing that a show that we're watching or a movie that we're watching together or something like that. Do those like lock into your mind? I'm just thinking about, let me back up even one more step. She's really emotionally invested in stories. So she's going to remember the time that her and I sat down and watched this for the first time for a really long time. Like she cried for like 3 straight hours at the last movie. It was ridiculous. It was like she ran out of tears.
She's the sensitive one.
She is. She's really emotionally invested in good storytelling. So like that's going to lock in. So what are some of those kind of like maybe traditions that you had or things that where you lock in and remember, oh man, I used to do this with my old man. Or like I used to sit and watch this with other family members.
So I got to back up. We have a very disjointed family history. You know, my house was not intact, right? Our family was not intact. So my grandparents stepped in and filled a pretty big role. And dinner was always at 5 o'clock. it did not forget that nobody's ready for dinner. My grandma had to have it ready at 5. My grandfather didn't come home from work till like 7 p.m. My mom didn't get there till like 6 something, but dinner was ready at 5. So who ate at 5? Grandma, my mom, and the kids, whichever kids were around, me, my brother, my sister. So we lived in the shadow of Philadelphia, the Jersey Shore. So we always had Channel 6 News, WPVI. The early broadcast was at like 4, the 4 o'clock news. And then there would be Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And so this little 13-inch black and white TV in the kitchen with the ears, right? It had the rabbit ears.
And you got to move them sometimes.
That's
but
right.
Don't touch them unless you're asked.
Or put foil on the end.
Yep,
You might need to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
So that was, so I could still hear the theme music to the news station, and I can hear the Jeopardy and Alex Trebek, like that's in my head. But those 3 things were always on. The news, so that's how I became invested in politics and global events at a young age. Yeah, right. I turned 40 when I was 11.
Yeah, oh man.
That tracks.
So yeah, that would probably be, as it relates to something on the box, that would be a memory.
Interesting. Yeah, so my family, most people know, weren't believers, so we weren't watching anything wholesome for sure. So I have vivid memories though of watching 90210 and Melrose Place. So that was like
They were terrible shows.
No, they weren't terrible, but like
mom
probably
was in
No,
not.
they weren't any good. I don't mean like bad. It's like they just weren't any good.
But like as an 8 and 9-year-old, probably shouldn't be watching those shows.
agreed, yes.
That's what I'm saying. So
Could influence a number of factors in your life.
That's right.
100%. So, but I do remember watching those pretty regularly. I have a memory too. So my dad, who was not my biological dad, but my dad, anyways. So I have this memory of watching way too many times. For some reason, he recorded The Drive, John Elway, against the Cleveland Browns.
I remember watching that happen live.
You told me this story.
Yeah, so I've watched it I don't know, probably a million times.
It was ridiculous.
We would watch it all the time. Like, we would play the last bit of it.
Was he a Broncos fan?
He was
or
a Browns fan.
Wait, he was into masochism?
That's what I was like.
He wanted to torture himself?
I was like, we know what happens. Why are we watching this again? So we had in our last house we were in the longest, actually in the Chandler area, we had a room that was the card room. And like when I say cards, like sports memorabilia. And so it had a TV, and that's where we watched sports at. We did sports in that room, and had all this Cleveland Brown stuff. It has jersey signed by Pruitt, like all this stuff. And I remember just sitting in this room watching all the time going, why are we doing this again? Like, we know what happens. He's going to break your heart again. He'd be so emotionally invested in this moment. And I'm like, what do you know what happens? He's going to, like, I don't really watch games again. Once I kind of know, but we watched that over, but I do remember like sitting, we had 2, like rocking chairs. And so we just sat in there and watched the Browns get their hearts broke again.
If I remember correctly, the Broncos broke their hearts 2 years in a row in the AFC Championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was twice in a row that the Browns had that game and should have won. I remember watching it.
Yep. So I watched it probably more than any child should have ever watched it. But it really is locked in my mind. It's like, oh yeah, we watched this all the time. We watched a lot of sports together, but that's the one that stands out the most. So yeah, 90210, man. Watched, I think, probably every episode. I don't know if I missed one.
That's so funny.
So I remember, it's funny you talking here. I just remember reruns as a kid watching The Fall Guy, Good Times, that show, Sanford and Son. There you go. You just talk about watching things repeatedly.
Yeah.
That just, I saw those. Those were just stuck in my head.
It was really funny. So my paternal grandmother, Grandma Marguerite, that was her full name. She didn't have cable ever, right? So for most of my life, she had just whatever 3 channels that you could get, and then eventually one of her sons bought her old school satellite dish. I'm talking like a 16-footer.
The one you put outside. That's
you had to like wait for it to find that. It'd take like 3 minutes to, But she would watch again reruns of this old cop show, In the Heat of the Night. I don't know if you ever saw reruns. That was her favorite. She'd watch that all the time.
Television hasn't changed a lot as far as you just said cop shows. Cop shows, attorneys, right? Remember back in the day, Perry Mason. Now you got LA Law, and then you had LA Law, and you got whatever's now.
Yeah.
And then like fire, EMS.
Yeah.
Like that's television.
We
So
watched Dallas too. I watched Dallas.
Dallas. Who shot JR?
We did. I remember watching Dallas as a kid. I remember every time you'd stay home sick, you get to watch The Price is Right.
What was the show? That's
Supermarket Sweep.
Jason's favorite show, right? The Price is Right.
Yeah.
What was the show that was on after Dallas?
I don't know.
Anyone?
Oh, I
Anyone?
couldn't tell you. Off the top of my
Falcon
head.
Crest.
Falcon Crest.
These
I've
were
never
your
seen
Friday
Falcon
night
Crest, yeah.
primetime soap operas.
Dallas.
That's what
We
they were.
watched a lot of Dallas. Yeah. So we had cable. So we actually also remember watching probably every boxing match, every big one for a long time as a kid because we had cable.
Now,
Did you see Mike Tyson fight Michael Spinks?
Yep. We saw,
I saw
them
Tyson
all.
in Holyfield when I was a kid.
When he bit the ear?
Yes, I
You,
saw
you were a
it.
kid. I was in college.
Yeah. It wasn't that big of a deal.
We were
I mean,
teenagers.
Come on, man.
We were
We're
teenagers.
We're 10 years apart.
We were
So it's like-
teenagers.
It just 10 years
It
is
was
a lot
close,
when
yeah.
you're 21
Oh,
and
it
11.
sure is.
you
Hey,
know,
when you're
that's-
11, 10 years is a big
Yes,
old difference.
that's a big deal.
It is.
That's
for
a big deal.
So yeah, I had all the channels, all of them, so
That's
you could
funny, man.
watch anything. Yeah, there's again probably some other movies that I remember that just like I look back going, I should definitely not be watching that.
That Michael Spinks Mike Tyson fight, he was supposed to be the guy that was going to put this young Mike Tyson in his place. And that fight, I remember watching it in my uncle's living room.
And then the one he threw up, didn't Spinks throw up?
He got knocked out in like 90 seconds.
how he
It didn't
threw
get
up,
outside
too.
the first
Yeah, he
round.
beat the brakes off of him.
And it happened literally 10 miles down the street. It's like you make a left out the street and make another left and just go straight 10 miles.
You did grow up in like boxing, like
Right outside Atlantic City.
yep.
Yeah.
that's where they all did it.
Yes, that's where it was happening.
I'm surprised you didn't become a boxer. That's kind of the land, Kenny.
I don't need to be going out there throwing hands with anybody. I'm the smallest adult. I was always the smallest kid. That's just not, that was not in the cards
That's
for me.
funny, dude.
Love it. So we'd love to hear your TV show memories. That's good. What kind of, when you think through grandma, grandpa, or mom and dad, what are the things that as a family you sat around, maybe Little House on the Prairie, or those kind of joyous.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that like it's a call-in show. Like people are going to call us now.
No, they'll text us.
They
they'll
text.
email us.
They let me know on Sunday morning. You
Yeah.
know, it's great. So,
Gotcha.
Or if you're a 90s kid, TGIF. right?
dude, step by step, Family
we went
Matters.
hard
Let's
with
go.
TGIF, for sure.
Boy Meets World. Oh, yes, good stuff. All right. So, this past Sunday, Kenny, you were the one who was preaching. So, David, what would you think?
Yeah, man. So it's neat. So for those of you who don't know our process here at Quad City for sermons, everybody, including Jason, when he's here, it goes through a little bit of a committee process, right? We get to look at it ahead of time. We get to read it, and then we bring it to whoever's written it and go, hey, here's some thoughts. Here's some things you might not have thought of. And every now and again, you'll get hey, I actually feel like you need to just flip this thing on its head, like change the order of some stuff. And so this message had a pretty decent sized rewrite in it, where it was like overall the content didn't shift a lot, just the order and the way that it was delivered changed from original manuscript to second manuscript. And I was just I'm just really thankful for that process.
Oh,
for
me too.
For the humility of that is obviously modeled by Jason first, right, and other members of the leadership team and stuff, and thankful for that, because like I said, that reminds us, hey, nothing's sacred except the gospel. So like if we make something, it might end up on the cutting room floor, but then also I was thankful for it this weekend because the message landed really, really well. I think from original manuscript to what was delivered on Sunday, the arc, the kind of narrative arc of the sermon, landing in that point with your 5 bullet points at the end, just felt really, really concise and clear. The video with the Gibboneys and the Lorenkos was cool, and I got to be in on filming that, so I got to meet Ron, and he was cool, and like,
he's great.
Just such a grateful dude. Like, it was really nice you hear that coming out even in the video of what he's spoken. So it was really cool to see that process work really well, and to come away from a weekend with a number of tangible action steps for me and my family, and I know other families in the church. And so I thought, I was grateful for that.
What's great about Ron? So he lives in California, and he's driving from California to visit family in Texas. He drives all over. And he sleeps.
Ron's
in his truck.
driving?
Ron's driving it. 90 some odd years old, and he's got one of those sleeper campers on the bed of his truck.
Okay, yeah.
That he built. And he drives all over. Well, when he comes on a Sunday, and he's wearing like a jumpsuit, like kind of like overalls, but a one-piece jumpsuit, and he's working. Like he helps set up, he has helped tear down. David is like, his son is like, I get tired watching him. It's pretty impressive. The amount of gas in his tank is remarkable.
Yeah.
He has a lot of joy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
It was great. Yeah. The video was fun. Just hearing that story, just watching generations of people who have just faithfully served the church. Ken, it wasn't one of your original manuscripts. The point that their family donated the land for that church like 150 years ago.
Yeah, Ron's like great grandparents. What do you call it? The Liberty Church of Christ in Bell, Missouri.
Yeah. Missouri.
Yeah, they
Bell,
donated
Missouri.
the land, like their Excel initiative.
Yes,
150 years ago.
Just so as a family who it was not that, right? Didn't have family of faith. Like my grandma, is a person of faith, but it then kind of skipped a generation, and just didn't really take root. And then obviously myself, but the encouragement for me is like David and Ron, and really all of them just seem like normal people. They don't. There's nothing that they did that was like, whoa, that's amazing. I could never do that. No, they read their Bible and went to church and served. And I look at it for me going, I can hopefully 4 generations from now, I'll have great grandkids going, yeah, my grandpa Josh and his wife, they just started going to church.
Yeah, there is nothing more extraordinary than the ordinary faithful follower of Jesus.
Yeah.
Just nothing sexy about it.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
So again, it was funny when we were the kind of even the genesis behind Kenny teaching this message. When Jason and I were trying to put together the calendar, he's on sabbatical, who's going to teach? Like we got to this one, Jason's like, hey, Kenny's got some crazy idea about generational faith. Just let him roll with this one. Like we did, like we got to it. He was like, Kenny's got this one, and I had no idea what he was talking. So he'd already been thinking about this. He had looked ahead and saw like, I got a great idea, and man, it did. It panned out really well. I think it made sense. Again, encouraging, convicting for those who are a part of that kind of family. Like, you better not stop with you, but but encouraging for someone like me to go, I can start this, and all I need to do is just, again, not to say that it's easy, but we can be faithful too.
No, but it's simple.
Simple.
Yeah. Faithfulness, by and large, while it may be very difficult, is really simple. It's just day in, day out, live for Jesus.
Yeah. And so you're right. There was some, one of the things Diana talked about just as a family was, by nature, right, our boys love going to other people's house and hanging out, and they end up, because I think they just want to break from the life of the 4 brothers, right? I get it.
They need a break from each other.
But your point about, no, man, all these kids are going to come to our house, and that's where they're going to see the gospel, because we have all these friends of our kids that parents don't go to church, don't know Jesus, and it's like, okay. Whereas, yes, we want our kids to be able to go and hang out and do all those things. Like we are intentionally talking like, how do we shift to, we need to be the house that they actually come to, because we actually there's a purpose behind why we're doing it. You know what I mean? Like they're going to need what Diana and I have to show them what it means to be a follower of Jesus. Like we need that in our home.
And
just a good reminder for us.
Before we ever had kids, I mentioned him in the sermon, Joe Fields. Like he said, you want to do that. You want your house to be the place where your kids' friends come. And now in our case, with my wife homeschooled our oldest kids, so they made their friends at church. Your situation's different. It's even more important.
Yeah. And they do. They come over,
place.
but like our boys, I get it. They want the break of hanging out with they want to go to their friend's house because it's just one, they don't have all the siblings. But I'm like, no, we probably need to.
And the rules are different.
The rules are 100% different. Of course they are.
Matters,
but we are that place of like, hey, this is what we need to do because we need to. There's a responsibility that we have as parents who believe and have kids who believe.
So especially with, you've got 4 boys, you better budget for lots of snacks, lots of pasta, because it's cheap, like rice and pasta. Like you're going to be feeding tons of kids. So like we planned on that. It's like, okay, we're going to have to spend
more extra
on snacks, and the fridge is full. And
so, but again, that's what we want. But it was just something we already knew and something we had already told us the same way when we were doing this. And for the most part, again, we do have kids over, but it's like we need to even be more intentional, right? Like, hey, why don't you
Actually make it the plan, not just
Yeah.
when an opportunity shows up,
Yep.
say okay, but actually go, hey, go invite your friends.
tell your friends to come over, hang out at our
actually really
house,
smart. Yep.
be at our place. I know you're the same way. Your kids are hanging out with friends who don't know Jesus, and you guys are that same kind of like the safe house. Like, hey, you can always call the Garretts if you get yourself in trouble.
Not safe because you can get away with stuff, but
Right.
safe because it's going to actually literally be safe.
Yeah.
You can come here and we're going to help you out
Yeah.
as much as you can.
I cannot remember ever telling my kids no. Hey, can we come? Like they're out doing stuff. Hey, can we all come over and watch a movie or play games or whatever? And it's like they're going to be coming at 10:00 at night. We're like, yes,
I'm gonna
I'd
be
rather-
asleep,
That's
but yeah,
right.
so you can
come on in. Come
Now, I
on
for
in.
sure want to get to that spot, but we definitely say no sometimes. When you've got the widespread and young kids, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, Lucy's got to sleep.
She does. But I do
Amen.
remember that was, my grandparents modeled that, and it wasn't always necessarily out of their love for Jesus specifically, but that was the house that people came to because we always had food. You never had to ask permission
Right.
to come over or to eat, right? Like it was just assumed if you were there, we were feeding you, you know? That is definitely something that I aspire to in the long term is to always be that place.
Yeah.
Even when I don't have kids anymore.
That's what I was going to say. So some of our listeners are going, well, I don't have kids anymore. But again, like there are people even in the church that they invite us over all the time. They invite me and my family over, and we just kind of have that. They're going to feed us and take care of us. And to think, how do you practically do that with, I remember going to my youth coaches' houses all the time. Like I spent the night at their house all the time with their young kids. You know what I mean? Like those are the people that you end up doing life with. And to your point, some of that stuff just rubs off. When I was first in ministry, I lived with two families. I was 24, 25. I lived with two different families. I actually lived with my boss, and then I lived with a missionary family. So very different, but to see how they just did family, and coming from a broken family, I went, oh, you just eat dinner together? Huh.
Right.
Like it was weird. It was like, hey, I just need to know, Josh, if you're coming or not coming. We'll set a plate if you're coming. If you're not coming, I don't care. Go do whatever. You're 25 years old. But just tell me if you're coming, and we'll have a plate for you. And it was like, oh, okay. Like it took me a while to like get in, but the value that they held of eating together as a family. But both of them, one ate at an actual table, the other ate at like the chair with the TV tray and the TV, but it was still family dinner, right? But so it was like, oh, this is really important to them. And it's weird if I miss.
They actually care if I'm
They
there
actually
or not.
care if I'm there or not. So again, just learn it. But I didn't grow, not that my family didn't eat together. We did, but it was just, again, just different seeing it, trying to intentionally go, oh, how do I want to do this when I get older?
Well, and I'll tell you, that mattered even before Lisa and I had kids. I remember living in our apartment, first getting married. We're first married, first couple years. And it's like you get up, you have breakfast, you go do the thing. We're not having breakfast together, we're not having lunch together. And she's like, we need to be home for dinner together. I'm like, I'm out meeting people. I'm studying the Bible. I'm doing ministry.
Feels
like,
right.
You'll eat, I'll eat. Like, what do we need? No, we need to be, like, we had to start that habit before there were kids in the house.
Yeah.
It pays dividends even today.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to keep going, right? It's hard. Like your different seasons of life. It's hard to maintain consistency in any area unless you're really living out your unspoken and spoken values, like you're talking about, right? Because it's just so much simpler, oftentimes, or maybe not simpler, but easier to just do whatever's quick or whatever's
Convenient.
When I think through the lens of the rose-colored lens of memory, there are some really sweet times in our early marriage when my wife and I would get home at similar times, right? And always have the opportunity to have dinner together, right? Which isn't always the case now, or
Right.
hasn't always been the case in our whole life, right? But there was at least a year stretch, right around before and the time that Willow was born, where it was just every night consistently. I was off at 4:30. I'd get home by 5 o'clock. She was off at 5. She'd get home by 5:30. I could already have food started. We'd get to eat together.
It's great.
And that's that type of rhythm and consistency when you're talking about building a legacy
Yep.
is cool.
And you're right.
Yeah.
It's not when they leave the house. I was just thinking about it this morning. So now all my kids are in different schools, and they're going to school at different times. Because what used to be our pretty consistent thing was breakfast. We check in with each other. I started playing like worship music, but this morning it was like Silas was up, and then kind of Gideon got up, and then kind of Judah got up at the very end, and I was like, hey, I got to go. I got to get to work. So like what was 2 years ago, we were all getting on the same bus at the same time, doing the same thing. It's
Yep.
gone. Like it's over
Yep.
that quick.
Yep.
And I was like, Kim was right. It is. Like we feel that because we're a sports family in the evening. We feel
It's
the
tough,
tension.
yeah.
It's really hard. But the morning we had I'm like, oh man, it's gone.
Just like that.
Silas was out the door and Judah was kind of coming out of the room.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like,
is it 4 kids, 4 schools? Or 3
well,
schools?
yeah, Amos it's 4 kids, 4 schools because Amos is wherever he's pre-K or
Oh,
whatever.
you're in 4 right now.
I'm in 4.
We're in 3 in this season. We were in 3 last year, but 2 of them are in the same school right now, which is nice. And next year it'll be 4 kids, 4 schools for us.
So
Sounds awful.
it is. So, well, Ken, as always, as Nate asked, whoever's speaking for the weekend, if there were, 10 extra minutes of time, would you have added anything? Was there anything from your study that you thought was like, man, that's awesome, but I can't put that in there because I just don't have time for it?
What we didn't have time for is Gamaliel. So Paul's mentor. In the book of Acts, Paul talks about how he was studied under Gamaliel, who was the high priest at the time. And that's, Paul talked about his ancestors, and there's obviously the traditions and the history, but he had a specific mentor in Gamaliel. So that's something we could have talked about. I don't think it would have just been more time, right? It wouldn't,
Right.
It wouldn't have done anything for the point.
Right.
I think it was important that we did, and this was a part of our process. You mentioned, Josh, we got to set up the book.
Yeah.
So that is important because it is a very different book.
And I thought you did great of like quickly give you the highlights. Mm-hmm. So get the tension, you felt it. Like, oh, that's what he's writing about in this one.
I can imagine what it'd be like to be Paul. You're writing this letter, and here, come to me quickly. Do your best. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to see you.
Right.
Like, what? That's just awful
But
feeling.
that's real.
Oh, yeah.
That's real life.
Like he believed he was going to see them, but just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, I am already being poured out like a drink offering. The time for my departure is near. I just hope it's not before you get here, Timothy.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the Ron's family donated the land to the church, which was pretty remarkable. And we didn't get to, I didn't want to make this about the video, but Ron's mother was faithful and his dad was faithful, but poorly. Like, his dad was a fall down drunk, still did the church thing, but was not a good example. So he saw both in his own family, a good example and a bad example of what it means to have faith in Jesus. And so that he chose the one that,
and his dad
served him
died
well.
young because of that too.
Yes.
And you had a pretty long sort of biography section. Well, not long, maybe half a page, just about some of the stuff that isn't in the video, right?
Right.
These beautiful little package videos can oftentimes make really complicated lives seem distilled down to these really simple timelines, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
And so you spent some time talking about that in a previous manuscript that you didn't get to, unfortunately. Yeah.
And one thing that was, Nick was in the video and I teased him. I'm like, Nick, you got to be the eye candy. But he's at an age, so his story, he's at an age, he was old enough to remember his family before Jesus and after Jesus. But then he's got younger sisters that they only know the after Jesus. So that's a story that would have been cool to be able to tell how there's a line in the sand where his life and his family was different, and how it paid off for everybody is great.
Right. Yeah. And again, the encouragement is to those people who are watching that you can.
That's right.
If you have kids, even if you've blown it up to this point,
Yes.
you can say, all right, no more. We're going to do it this way. And they can look back and go, yeah, there's a pre-Jesus and a post-Jesus.
That's the mercies new every morning stuff, right? Like
That's right.
every single day you have the opportunity to repent and to change.
Yeah.
All the time. It doesn't, whatever hand you were dealt, fair or unfair, up to this point, you can go, as from now on, as for me and my house, right? Just like David said, right? Just like Joshua said, I mean, just take it from the Bible, like where it came from. And it doesn't have to necessarily be this weight of, oh, I didn't get this thing that these other people have. And not the 3 of us in this room, we didn't get that.
Nope. Sure did.
And I'm
Sure
not,
did.
this isn't a yay us. This isn't a yay Josh, a yay Ken, a yay David situation as much
Yay,
as
Jesus.
there it is, man. Like, no, we weren't dealt that hand, and God is still faithful to carry us through from here on. Right. not by our strength, but by His, that we can go. And I mean, there is something better for my family and for my kids and for my grandkids and for whoever comes after that. And I can do my best to carry the torch for that while I have a chance.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do the best you can with the chance that
Yeah,
you
that's
got.
it. That's it. So, well, we had one kind of comment from Dora, just kind of hearing the story of the Gibboneys sparked her own remembrance, or just wanted to share her own story. So she said, my dad grew up in Tennessee, not Kentucky, but it's okay. It's still the South.
Close.
So that was my added. That wasn't Dora. My dad grew up in Tennessee, and when his grandfather could no longer travel to attend services, they built a church on their property for the family to attend. That little church provided a place to worship for neighboring farmers too, and continued until the family moved north for jobs. It says, my legacy is my dad sitting at the kitchen table every morning reading his Bible and drinking coffee. To this day, me and my 3 sisters have this routine too. Although my nieces and nephews have not yet picked up the habit, we keep encouraging them to do it. If not in the morning, then some point in the day. My sisters and I are working to continue to be a legacy for their children. And so just the cool piece of like Dora's story is not our story, right? So where our story is, we're kind of starting legacy. She sits going, I have a responsibility to continue legacy. And again, that doesn't seem hard, sitting at a table, drinking coffee, reading your Bible.
That's right.
It's consistent and disciplined, but it's not like he's teaching and learning Greek.
Yeah.
And you know what's neat? So on a Saturday, I'll do that because on school days, it's Andy, get up, let's go, let's get you ready, let's get out. But on a Saturday morning, I'll be sitting at the table reading my Bible. I got my highlighter, and Andy will do the same thing. And she doesn't know what she'll just start highlighting stuff because she sees me doing it. But there's just that, okay, you've done this.
That's what Gideon, so he was highlighting like all of Matthew 28. Like we got the whole chapter highlighted.
Okay.
And he just in there just
It's all
highlighted.
Matt's fair.
And so he asked me, he goes, hey, Dad, he highlighted something I think he probably learned at church, and he goes, what else should I highlight? And I told him one. He has the thing about being just timid, and so just, hey, do not fear the John 14 stuff. And he said, what else? I go, hey, man, actually, you'll figure out what's important for you, man. Like I could tell you all mine, but they're mine because I've been in some season and it popped out to me. I was like, and they shift and move. And I was like, but the beauty is, man, you're going to find your own verses you're going to highlight. One day I'm going to look in your Bible. I'm going to go, oh, wow, I wonder why he highlighted that. I've never highlighted, And so to just say, hey, you can highlight whatever you want to highlight. You don't actually have to get Dad's. You get to have your own verses, man. But yeah, I saw him. He's like the whole chapter. I was like, it's a good verse. That's a good chapter. That's a good one, man. Just keep going. But to like watch that again, and I'm sure it's just because he's seen, mom and dad randomly with a highlighter, and he's like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do when you read the Bible, So it is pretty cool to see that. To your point, they're always watching.
Boy, are they.
And there's, gosh. It's not a lesson, but it is a question worth asking. That messages like this and stories like the Gibboneys, right, and Lourenco's remind me of. And sometimes I can ask this in helpful ways, and sometimes I can be like a slippery kind of dark slope to slide down. But it's what legacy are you teaching in the things that you're not doing on purpose? Like what are the accidental legacies that I'm leaving my kids? Like what are the habits and hang-ups and all the good stuff that I am unintentionally communicating and unintentionally establishing that my kids are going to pick up, that I wouldn't want them to pick up maybe, or even if they're good things, they could be good things. But my mind will shift to the negative on that, like that I'm just actually burdening my kids with.
What are they going to have to go to therapy for? Is what you're asking?
Well, it's fine. They're going to get some of their dad's baggage. It's
inevitable.
Yeah.
It is though. It is it's some is caught, to your point, some is taught. The conviction around you got to coach more, not just correct.
That's the easy thing to do. Yeah. The coaching takes forethought.
That's
work. Yeah. And I think especially for people who have young kids at home, and by young, I'd say, probably up to like third grade, whatever you establish,
in
whatever
the single
you
digits.
do, single digits, whatever you do through that time, that's just normal for them. So if if you go to church, if you pray before meals, if you talk about God or the Bible or whatever you do, good or bad, that just becomes the normal thing.
Yeah.
And so inculcate them with good things that are just the normal. This is how life is.
Yep. Yeah. And again, obviously we speak from a point of having kids and people at home, and that's who we're mentoring, to your point. Now there's also other people that we're engaged with, but those of you who are retired and new in Prescott, I loved your line just around actually your sins can be shared to prevent other parents from walking into that.
That's right.
Like to not actually hide that stuff, to share it, to be open with it because it's been redeemed.
That's right.
And so it's just such a good reminder of, your line was, where the landmines are. So,
yeah, that matters. You sharing your mistakes, your war scars. I had a mentor once, I'll never forget. He said, I was a young man, married, and he said, I took another woman in my arms with the intent to kiss her. And I realized, oh my gosh, what's happening? And it didn't, and I was like, wow, if that could happen to you, right? Like what? So he shared his error with me.
Yeah.
And that had such an impact on me. And so you might live with regrets about decisions you've made or things you've done, or you might, but someone else can benefit. Don't waste your sin. There's redemption in it for the benefit of others, for sure.
Right. And again, the legacy you're leaving is not just for my family, but hopefully it'll have impact on other families and other people and the people that we interact with. And so again, the intentionality behind, okay, I've got some life under my belt here. How do I actually use it and engage with people? To your point, though, you've got to do the part to make the relationships. You got to get in the groups. You got to hang out with people. You got to walk up to families. You got to try to make yourself available, that you're, the home that you're inviting people to just go, hey, I actually don't want anything from you. I just want to give to you because somebody probably did for them, so that's what I always think of is like, okay, I got this season, I got these kids, but I don't want it to just end with us.
Right.
Like I want to be able to pay it forward to, to young families. And yeah,
I think I've just been kind of processing something over here as I was listening to you guys talk and reminded about, and you've already even mentioned it here, the coach not correct. And I think I don't know if that statement is obvious enough to most people what it actually means. And so I've been trying to unpack a little bit in my own mind how to communicate that in some other ways. And I'm thinking the thought that came to mind was that it's really easy to tell somebody how they're doing something wrong. And it's actually really hard to show people how to do things right.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
And so maybe, a picture of that would be, in the way that if somebody brings one of your kids or one of your friends or a family member brings something to you and you go, that's wrong, as opposed to, hey, can I show you a better way? Like that idea of let me show you a better way feels like what you mean when you say coaching. And I think about the men who have had influence in my life over the last 15 years, right? Where it's going, okay, how often was it helpful to just be told that's wrong? Maybe 1 in 15.
Right. I know it's wrong, but I can't get out of it.
And because maybe you don't know, maybe you have a blind spot and you really just need somebody to say that's actually wrong. You don't need to be doing that way. So that's not worthless. There's still value to that.
Absolutely.
But way more valuable is the constant, let me show you a better way, right? Mm-hmm. That is the disciple making process, maybe boiled down to like a sentence.
Yeah, that's right.
And we can take that into our families and into our relationships and our neighborhoods and with other people and all that good stuff.
Which fits the theme that we've been talking through this whole series is church is more than just showing up on Sunday morning. And I do love your list was, hey, here are the things you can do on Sunday morning. You can, come, obviously it's a big one, serve together as a family. Obviously we're going to do that over the month of August, just trying to encourage anyone who's not serving just to serve, just get in. It can change, your life. It really can make that much of a difference. But then again, to your point, to create conditions in my home, there are things that I can do to help make it a place where spiritual growth is at least possible.
Yes.
And not guaranteed,
There's no guarantees.
but possible. And so, that's the hope. And in all of that, to your point, it's just correct, or to coach, to show people that there's a better way. And hopefully that's what,
And to your, if I had 10 minutes, I think it's important for people to realize there are no guarantees. It's not a formula that will always get you this outcome. But I also,
This isn't chemistry, yeah.
I didn't, right? It's not chemistry. I didn't want to belabor that because what I didn't want is people to tune out. Like, well, because you could take away from that. Oh, it doesn't really matter what I do. Oh no, it matters what you do for sure. There are no guarantees. Read Kings and Chronicles. You had terrible kings that had great sons and great kings that had terrible sons. Most of it was bad and bad, but that's what you have. And then to your point, Judge said about serving serving. And I think in PV, I see it a lot. Lots of families serve. And there's one in particular. This boy is probably 5 years old. His dad got baptized a few months ago, and they serve together on teardown. They come to the 11 o'clock, stay and help tear down. And absolutely, it takes longer to have this 5-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
But so what? Like, it's worth every bit of the delay that it's going to be to have him participate in the life of the church. See it with Amy Waylon, who's like 2. Yeah. He wants to push the carts right on. It's fantastic.
I mean, Silas has been going over since 6, I think.
Yep.
And so it is every time like we're doing something, like, I could do this a lot faster. I could just pull this, but I'm like, yesterday was like, we left and I was more conscious because of the message, right? Spirit, conviction. I was like, hey man, thanks for serving today. I appreciate getting to serve with you, buddy. And he was like, all right, cool. He's a man of few words. So,
Yes.
But I'm hopeful, to your point, kind of like what you talked about in the beginning, that in 25 years, he looks back and goes, man, one of my best memories is showing up early and pushing stuff around with my dad. Like that was it. And I always tell people, like, that's one of the reasons why, like, I make it a point to go to people. Like, so it's known in our house when I'm going to PV, only Silas gets to go with me. Like, Diana says it, like, they just know, like, nope, this is Dad and Silas time. And it's this special thing that we get to do together. And hopefully it is just he, since 6, or really since we've been church planting forever, it feels like, setting up and tearing down. That's all they know of church is like, oh, you got to go and set it up, tear it down.
Right.
Like, this is what they're like.
Yeah, most of my kids' life was that too.
Just tear down and set up church.
So the middles, the ones who were really young when we started doing that, they prefer going to PV.
Do they?
Because it feels more familiar to them.
Of
I don't
course,
know
yeah.
if it's that's so interesting. Yeah, I hadn't even really thought about it in that light. But most of their life at church was set up and tear down life.
Yeah. So again, he has this, but he's from the beginning going, oh, I can just jump in and be a part and serve. And, not that my other boys, because they're both serving. Like, Judah now serves with Nate, and he, he's not in kids ministry anymore. So I was like, hey, buddy, it's time.
Yep.
Time to earn your keep, bud. Let's get it. He's like, great, I'm going to serve with Nate.
That's fantastic.
And so, but again, I know your kids have served early. Your kids, Willow's in the booth now serving and doing those things.
And it's so
great.
funny. I was so grateful for Nate this past week. Like, I'm grateful for Nate anyway, but I'll brag on him since he's not here. So, like, Thursday was my kid's first day of school, right? And then we have rehearsal Thursday night. And so Willow's first day of school, she drove with me to rehearsal on Thursday. And I don't remember why we split it up the way that we did. But, so it's first day back at high school, and there's all sorts of feelings about that, whether good, bad, or otherwise. And, she walks into the building, and Nate's the only one here. Her and I walk in, and he's like, how's your first day of school? She's like, and he goes, cool, well, I got a new spot for you, so I hope you're ready to learn. And didn't even ask. Didn't, just made the expectation clear. Hey, I'm going to show you something new, and I hope you're ready to figure it out. And she was like, okay. And then, he just took her and helped her get connected and engaged her in a way that, she was able to serve on Sunday this week. And so there's something to that about the, like, not leaving room for excuses thing too. That's really, there's a leadership quality in there that, he's gotten from other people. And I think is really, really cool, that helps connect us to the body in a really cool way. Just like we talked about serving last week, and how it is a unique way to connect to the body.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you need somebody to not just guide you, but to literally just take your hand and go, this is what you're doing.
Show up.
And it's not your parent.
Yeah.
Right. And it's someone else.
Yes.
It's not your parent.
Yeah.
That is
Absolutely.
invaluable.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts, gentlemen, before we tune off, Kenny?
I just, like I said in the message, I cannot stress how important it is. If it's whether it's the breakfast table, the dinner table, as frequently as possible, be around the table. And then when those days invariably end, then you pick a day or two a week. Okay, be Sunday night, whatever day it is. Then because it becomes even more important, and then it'll be fun when it's the girlfriend joins the table, or the boyfriend, or that that's. You want that. You want them over. You
Why'd they both
want
look
them
at me
around.
all of a sudden? Like, yeah. Is there a young man going to come to your table, David?
What's that gonna look like, brother?
I mean, I'll still feed him. I'm gonna bury him in the backyard, but I'll feed him before I bury him.
Hey, let me. This is okay. This one's a freebie. This didn't make dads, fathers of daughters. Okay, so I'm looking at you, David.
I'm listening. My ears are perked.
Okay.
Yeah.
This when your daughters are little, this is the language you use. When daddy picks your husband. Okay, that's just normal as normal can be.
That'll never cause. Yeah, they're talking about that with their therapist at some point. That one comes back up.
When daddy picks you, I'll die on that hill. Thank you, Andre Carmen. He taught me that one.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think that about concludes our time today.
That does conclude our time today. Thanks for joining in. Till next week. See you guys.